Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. And that's my intro. Um, Very excited today. We have Gloria Battini here. Um, while we wait for her, I just want to do a daily check-in. Um, really struggling mentally, um, but I still show up. I'm still showing up, so I want that to be like an inspiration to anybody that's struggling. Just know that you're not alone. Um, I'm trying to think that, not trying to think, but trying to focus on things could be much worse than they already are. I want to be grateful for waking up today, my house, breathing, my two legs, my two arms, just all the things. Yeah, so, oh, and we'll get the chat going. Let me know if you're tuning in, where you're tuning in from, how your day's going, how your mental health is. I always get nervous for these things. I feel like I'm getting rusty in my um, podcasting days. Hi, Gloria.
There. Hi.
Good morning. I love your background.
Thank you so much. I'm a reader. Yes.
How are you today?
I am very good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm kind of struggling mentally, but I'm showing up and I'm doing okay.
That's the most important thing, showing up. That's all we ever need to do.
Yes, thank
So
you.
you're absolutely nailing it then.
Thank
That's what's happening. You're absolutely nailing it. Yeah, that's all we
you
ever
so
need to
much.
do. Yes, I'm sending you a big hug if it helps, but
I
yeah.
appreciate that. Ugh.
Yeah.
So before we get started, what's your favorite color and what's your favorite food?
My favorite color, oh, you see, this is a hard one. The overthinker. So this is a hard one because it's either red, black, or pink.
Okay.
So in between the three of them, it's always like either red, black, or pink. What's my favorite food? It is also tricky because I've recently become vegetarian. So if this was even like a
Oh,
year ago, I would have told you a steak, but it's not. It's not anymore. So favorite food right now, I would say favorite food right now. You know what? Pizza. Yes,
okay, that's fair. Can you
pizza.
still have pizza?
Yeah. As a vegetarian, yes. Yeah. As long as I don't put any meat toppings and stuff, then yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started. Tell me all about your story. Anything goes. This is a safe space.
Okay. Okay. And do you want to start with any questions? Like, how does it work? Are you gonna edit it later? Are you, because I
Nope,
know we're
we're live
recording.
right now. We're
Oh, we're
totally live right
already live.
now.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I didn't realize that. Hello everybody who's watching. Hello everyone. Hello. So, tell you about my story, yeah. I'm gonna tell you that it took a while. It took a while to feel good. It took a while to feel good. It took a while to feel better. Um, but it's good now. I feel like, um, I'm really at a beautiful point in my life where there's a lot of growth and a lot of change and a lot of um choosing things that I wouldn't have chosen in the past, some like really big change. I mean, even just becoming a vegetarian, it's like something like internally clicks. Um
What
so
prompted that?
I just couldn't. So I'm a, as you can imagine, a very spiritual person. And
Yes.
so the more I leaned into my spirituality, and obviously I'm a spiritual medium, so and I keep training, right? So I keep training and I keep evolving and everything. And so I just got to this point, it was earlier this year, when I just couldn't do it. I stopped seeing the meat and I start seeing the life. And I could not just go back. It just doesn't work. I could not go back. I could not go
Okay.
back. Yeah, yeah. And now every time, I come across, because obviously my partner, he's not vegetarian. So every time he's cooking something and everything, I just literally see the life and I can't do that. I can't
Well,
do
good
that.
for you. Good for
Too
you.
much. Yeah, this is too much. Yeah, I feel like possibly it's because as you grow spiritually, I think at least it was like this for me. It was very much a realizing that we're all one and the same. We're all one and the same. People, animals, nature, we're really all one and the same. And whatever you're doing to somebody or something else, you are actually doing to yourself. And also, your actions are just a reflection of who you are and not the other person. And so, it just didn't resonate with me anymore. It just didn't resonate with me. And I thought, no, I don't want to be doing this. No.
That
So,
makes
yeah,
sense. I really like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when did you start your spiritual journey? What prompted that?
So I was always a very mm, sensitive child, since a very young age. I was always a very sensitive child. I always felt energy. I always felt like there was more than we could see. I always felt that there was, that people, when people passed, I never really felt like they were going anywhere. I just felt like, yes, their body, they were no longer in their body. I could see that. But I never felt them actually leaving, if that makes sense. Like their presence, I always felt it around. But I didn't really have the words to express that. Number one. So, number one, I didn't really have the words to express that when I was little. And then as I grew up, I just thought that was just
Normal.
everyone's experience, you know? It was just very normal, yes. And so fast forward, I was in a really toxic relationship for 15 years. I was bullied. I had a lot of growth and a lot of like turmoil that I needed to go through and resolve and healing, for myself and all of that. And once I've done the healing and left the relationship, I think it was a couple of years after that, I was already with my current partner and everything. And I started to get back into the things that I loved when I was little, which was one of those things was astrology, for example,
I
astrology
love
and
astrology.
right. Astrology is just a whole thing. Like it just makes, to me, it makes sense. I don't like it innately makes sense. I might, there's many things in the world that I look at them and I cannot make sense of them. Like in my brain or in my being, I look at them and I'm like, no, I cannot piece this together. But with astrology, it's like, boom, yes, of course, this is what it is. So it's always made like a lot of sense to me. But I grew up with the approach towards what I saw around me towards astrology was always very much like, well, yeah, it's cute, but it's not. It's really a lot of like fluffy things, and there's not really much to it, kind of thing. So anyway, fast forward to these couple of years after I left the relationship, and I felt like I was getting closer to the things that I used to love. And one of those things was astrology. And then I started to open up more and more, started working with the moon, started working with a spiritual coach. And I get to one of these sessions with the spiritual coach, and it was a reading actually. And she sort of reads like the energies around me and everything. And she says, you know that you have loads of spirits around you. And I said, I do. But isn't this normal? Like, don't we all have them? And she says, yeah, absolutely, we do all have them, but are you aware that you do? And I said, yes, I'm very aware that I do. And she says, okay, and why don't you explore it? And I said, well, it never occurred to me that it was a thing that I could explore. It never occurred to me that it was a thing that I could, it just never. And she's like, well, the thing is that we all have them, but if you do have an awareness that you can perceive them, then maybe it's worth, maybe it's worth having a look. And so she was, and after that, I was like, oh, okay. And I looked more into my astrology, into my own birth chart. And there are actually several parts of my astrology that point towards working the spirit, point towards being a bridge
I
between
believe it.
time.
All
Yeah,
that stuff is in there.
it's in there, like a hundred.
It's very specific.
Very, yeah, incredibly specific. And so that, looking at that and finding those things in my own chart felt really validating. It felt like, oh, so I was right all along. you know, I was right all along to feel this way. It was okay for me to be attracted to these things because in the end, it seems like they're part of me. And so from there, I started exploring it, and I think it was New Year's Eve, and as you do like your wishes and your plan, for the year ahead
Yeah.
and stuff, I put on this list that I wanted to manifest the following year. I wanted to manifest a mentor that I could work with to understand, psychic abilities, to understand mediumship and all this sort of stuff. And it happened. 2 months later, this person came into my life, and I was like, wow, amazing. So that's how we started. And then I probably trained with her. I trained on a one-to-one basis. I did like a very intensive training, but honestly, like the whole thing really, rather than learning, it really felt more like remembering, you know? It really felt more like remembering, which is so cool, I think. And I think it's if we open ourselves up to just following, because our soul gives us clues all the time, right? Our soul is always pointing towards what we crave, right? What we crave for ourselves, what our authentic self craves. And if we just listen to it, if we just listen to it, if we really dropped all of the external noise, what other people say, what other people think, if we really dropped all of that and we just followed that desire, that heart, the spark, the soul, like, it's never going to lead us astray. He would never lead us astray, and he will always like lead us back towards, back home to ourselves. And then you do these things and you're like, oh, I wish I'd done that sooner. But but I think also to a certain extent, I think life does have to happen because you have to understand certain things that you need to work through. You need to understand what your wounds are and what are the things that you have to overcome about yourself in order to get to that point where you can just follow your soul. And maybe that doesn't happen straight away. Maybe that doesn't happen. I think it does for some people, that they are just maybe so supported, in childhood that they are just like super connected with who they are. And when you come across these people, I think it's very evident that that's, that they had that since a very young age. That I mean, my partner, he's an artist, and the way that he just approaches, the way that he follows his creativity, the way that he approaches um his art, it's just like he doesn't have an ounce of doubt. You would like, it's insane. And I always ask him, like, what's it like to live like that? What is it? Tell me. Do you ever have like the voices and stuff? He's like, not about art. No, not about this, because I know that that's what my soul wants, and that's what it is. But again, and then looking back and at the way that he was raised and everything, nobody ever made him doubt about the fact that that was his path. He was just encouraged, which is
I
so
love that for
beautiful.
him.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, I was about to say
yeah.
that. Yes.
It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Just reading some of your questions here. How can how can people start discovering their own abilities just by listening to their soul?
I mean, a little bit, yes. But I think there are other clues which are all like soul related. Obviously, they're all soul related. But there are clues. There are clues. First of all, the first thing that you need to know is that there it is impossible, and I please be open to what I'm about to say. It is absolutely impossible that you're not psychic. Okay?
Okay.
It is impossible simply because we are all born with an intuition. like it's, their inner knowing, that
Yes.
connection inside of ourselves, we all have it. Okay. It so happens that some people are maybe more connected to it than others, 100%, for different reasons. Maybe because, for some people they're more connected because maybe they didn't have such, because like what I was saying about my boyfriend, because maybe they were encouraged to follow their inner knowing, right, since they were small. Some people, for maybe they had like really really strong experiences earlier in their life, and that made them become more connected. But for whatever reason, it is true that maybe some people are just a little bit more connected, but it doesn't mean that if you don't feel connected, it doesn't mean that you can't. It literally is like going to the gym. It literally is like going to the gym. When you practice your psychic abilities in the same way, if you want to build percentage of muscle, you work out, and the
Yes.
muscle happens, right? It's just a body thing. It's a thing that the body does. And in the same way is with our intuition. The more you practice it, the more you listen to it, the more you become attuned to it, and the sharper it becomes. Same thing. It just really comes with practice. Now, there are some clues. We have different kinds of clairs. So the clairs are the forms that our intuition can take. The main ones are clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. So clairvoyance, they're all from French, translated from French. So clairvoyance is clear seeing, clairaudience is clear hearing, clairsentience is clear feeling, as in like feeling in your body, and claircognizance is clear knowing. And so seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing. And all of these words have the word clear before them, right? So the real question is here, like, clear from what? Why is it clear vision? Why is it clear hearing? Why is it clear
Yes.
knowing, right? What is it clear of? It's just the noise. It's clear of the noise. It's clear of the external distractions. It's clear of the external noise, and it's tuned within, is attuned with what you have inside. That's all it is, right? And so if you're a clairvoyant person, some of the signs could be that you are very visual. Maybe you really connect with visual arts. Maybe you like photography. Maybe you like painting. Maybe when you close your eyes, you see things. Some people have something that's called aphantasia, so that you can't visualize.
Oh,
But
I've
it,
heard of that.
yeah, but it doesn't mean that it can't necessarily be developed, because you can still develop clairvoyance even through your other senses, because they all like intertwine together, right? And so, yes, so some of the signs of clairvoyance could be, yes, that you're a very visual person. You really respond like to color, or you like, drawing, you like taking pictures, you like photography, painting, that sort of stuff. Um, and it's very easy perhaps for you to visualize during like meditations and stuff like that. Or also vivid dreams, they're another they're another sign. If you dream and you remember your dreams, and like vividly, visually remember your dreams, that's another sign. With regards to clairaudience, it has to do with sound, and it has to do with music. So I don't know if you have one of those people, or some of those people in your lives, but I do have a couple of people in my life that they hear a song and they can repeat it like first time they heard it, they straight away. And even actually, there's a friend of mine, she doesn't even need to hear the full song for her to be able to know when the chorus is coming. It's like, and when you
That's
ask,
amazing.
how does it work? And she's just like, yeah, it just happens. But that's what it is. That's your intuition that works through sound, through
Okay.
sound, right? That's what it is. And there's a lot of people for whom, music comes really, really naturally. When I was saying that the language of astrology to me makes perfect sense, for clairaudient people is the language of notes that makes perfect sense. Like they just see them, feel them together, and it comes really, really natural. A lot of people hear voices, and messages that are not from themselves. So there's a very different there's a very clear distinction between mental health and intuition, between the voices, right? So the voice of intuition will never be criticizing. The voice of intuition will never say something that's going to put you down, right? The voice of intuition will never be a message that is that is full of hate, or that would provoke self-doubt or anxiety, right? The voice of intuition and the voices and the messages that come through sound, through clairaudience, they're always uplifting, useful. They always want you to be yourself, to follow, what you are, who you are, and what you are. The mental health side of things is usually, the anxiety side of things. I had
Yes.
OCD, right? I had OCD for years, and the voice was always like, "You're not good enough. Something bad's going to happen." It was always like very catastrophic, very against me. It was a bully. It's a bully when it's like anxiety, and it's a bully. And so that's how you distinguish, right? So you know that it's the clairaudience when um, it is uplifting, and it is more of a message that either needs to be shared with other people, that is uplifting, that can give guidance, that sort of stuff. The inner knowing, which is the cognizance, um, it's one of the signs is when you know the answer to things, but you don't know how you know the answer to things. When you're just like, that I just know that. Has ever happened to you? When you're just like, I don't, but I just know that that's the answer.
Like, give an example.
So, like, for example, somebody would say, do you know? Okay. So somebody would take, like, for example, like a historical period, and they would say, do you know what happened during this time to, I don't know, to a specific, do you know what happened to these people during this time? And you're just like, yeah. I think this and this and this and this and this will happen, but you didn't really read it anywhere. It just
Oh
comes
no.
inside,
No, I don't have that. I think I'm relating more to the visual, the arts,
Yeah,
the photography, stuff like that. Like when I'm drawing, I can just kind of see how it looks, what the colors are going to be, things
yeah,
like that.
yeah. But it doesn't mean that you don't have the claircognizance. It just means that it's still yet to be connected, maybe, or it's connected, but you haven't practiced it yet. And the more you practice your other abilities, so if you feel like you're clairvoyant, the more you practice that with intention, the more you attune to the messages that come through from that, the more you will develop the others
I
at the
think
same time.
when it comes to mental health and why people do the things they do, that I can feel like I know the answer to with the way they were raised, environmental things, things that they've been through. Just does that make sense?
Yeah. And do you know why you know it, or it just makes sense to you that it happens that way?
I think because I've been through so much mental health, like therapy, and my mom, she's borderline, and so am I.
Hmm.
So, I think I can just relate,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. And again, that's a form of claircognizance because nobody told you. Nobody,
No, no,
right?
God, no. I wish
Exactly.
they would have.
Right. Yes. So nobody necessarily told you, but you know that that's what it is. So it is definitely a form of claircognizance, absolutely. And the way to develop, by the way, the way to develop claircognizance more is it is to read, because all of the information that we ever get is stored in our subconscious all the time. Even if we forget it, we only forget it with our conscious mind. We don't forget it with our subconscious. It gets stored, and we are not aware of 90 to 95% of what goes on underneath the surface, like of everything that we do, that we think every single day. We're only aware of 5 to 10%, which is insane. Yeah, which is
Yeah,
insane if you think about it, because everything else is underneath the surface in the subconscious, which means that it's autopilot, which is why we keep doing the same things over and over again, and we feel like it's really hard to change because we think that we need to the change that sorry, we think that for change to happen, we just need to operate on the surface, but we're not. We need to operate on the 90% instead, right? We need to
Like
tackle the
meditation and
90%.
stuff like that.
I mean, yes, that's one of the ways, but anything that you can utilize to bring your subconscious to the surface, that's the answer. So you have to, because if you're not aware of anything that's going on underneath the surface, it will rule your life because that's what it does. That's the role of the subconscious. What's really piloting, it's not your reason, it's the subconscious. That's piloting everything. That's piloting your choices, that's piloting what you think, your habits, everything, right? So if our life isn't what we want it to be at a very specific moment in time, in order to change, we don't, if we just look at what is happening, we won't be able to. We need to look at what is happening in our subconscious for the situation in our life to be what it is and change at that level.
That
And
makes
change at
sense.
that level. Yeah. And when you change at that level, then it then comes up to the surface and it changes your reality because now it's come to the conscious, and now you're conscious of your subconscious behaviors. So you're conscious of why you do what you do and why you
Yep.
do it in the way that you do it, and now you can do something about changing it. But until you know what's actually going on underneath the surface, nothing's going to change.
Can your natal chart help you learn that
Yes.
stuff?
Yes, 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 yes. That's such a great question. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, your natal chart can totally help you understand that. I feel like natal charts are literally an instruction manual for life.
Yes.
This is what it is, right? You're like, so what do I do in this situation? Boom, birth charts. Let's have a look at what this is, and you just go for it and trying to and understand that. Yes, yes, it absolutely can. A birth chart is going to give you the answers to every single area of your character and every single area of your life, and how they combine together and how you behave in each and every one of them. So yes, there are many, many answers in there. Many, many answers.
Do you have a recommendation of where to get a good birth chart? Are birth chart and natal chart the same thing?
Yes, they
Okay.
are. Yeah, yeah, they are the same thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I do them. I don't have them on my website, but I do them. I do them with all the clients that work with me one to one. I do their birth charts always because I'm not I when I work with someone on a one to one basis, I work with them for a few months, 3 to 6 months at least. And so I always want to start from their astrology because I want to create that awareness that we were talking about, right? I
Yes.
want them to become aware. So this is what's going on in your energy. This is your blueprint, right? This is what's going on in your energy. And so I want them to become aware of that. And then we start working on what they want to work on. But we have a certain awareness now after we unpacked their natal chart, you know? So I do them for sure. I wouldn't recommend doing just a simple online one. Go to somebody that's gonna make it for you. It's not cheap. It's not, because it literally takes hours and hours to do it because there's so much detail, so
Yes.
much detail, and so many aspects to it. It's like putting together a very intricate puzzle. There are so many pieces to it, so it's going to be an investment for sure, but it's really worth it because you just do it once in your life and you just carry it with you. My birth chart, I go back to it probably once a month according to what I want to plan and what I'm trying to work on, for myself and all of that. So I would suggest definitely to find someone, find an astrologer, find somebody that can do it, can create, your chart. Yeah, because those thing is that with those you can get, there's some websites out there that you're like, oh, pay like $25 and get
Yeah,
your chart. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest doing that because it's not going to be, it's just going to give you a very, very general information of something that can be so much more detailed, and you'll be missing a lot
that's
if you
good
do
to
that.
know. That's very good
Yeah,
to know.
you'd be missing a lot. So if you want that, it's as I said, it's an investment, but it's so worth it because you can go back to it so many times in your life. And whenever you're facing a challenge, let's say I'm facing a challenge at work or in my career. So then you go and have a look at the part of your birth chart that it's related to that, and it will show you possibly what the problem is and how to solve it. You
Okay.
know, So yeah, I really suggest. It's one of those things that it's life changing. It really is life changing. It
I
really, really
believe
is.
it because I've seen just, one of those websites, and it was, even though it's very general, it was very specific.
Yeah, and there's layers, right? So usually, what those websites do, they tell you, oh, they say, like, for example, your sun is in Cancer. I'm going to use myself as an example. So the sun is in Cancer. This is what it means. The moon is in Taurus. This is what it means. The rising sign is Virgo. This is what it means. Okay. But what very often they don't do is that, what is the conscious and unconscious expression? I need to understand that to understand myself. So my sun in Cancer will have a conscious expression in a certain way, but it will also have unconscious behaviors, which are the ones that I'm really interested in knowing, because that's the stuff that I want to change, right? The stuff that is
Yes.
unconscious. So what are the unconscious behaviors of the sun, having the sun in Cancer? And then which house is the sun in? And what can you tell me about that house, having the sun in that house, in terms of conscious and unconscious behaviors? What's my autopilot when it comes to the area of my life? There's like layers and layers and layers and layers, you see? And I find that very often when you just go to a website, it's just like very much like a copy and paste of, just a brief description. And it can already be like eye-opening for sure, but it's not as detailed as it could be, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Something we haven't covered yet, I was looking at your questions, are either the Akashic records
Yeah.
or how do past lives impact our current lives? So either one of those.
Well, they're actually connected.
Oh,
They're
goody.
actually, yes, they're actually very much connected. The Akashic records, okay, let me just backtrack here for a moment. So when you work with energy, all of these things that you hear, so Akashic records, energy, certain types of, all of the different modalities of energy healing, past life, chakras, like all of these things, they are practical ways for us to interpret something that we cannot see with our physical eyes, which is energy. Okay. So energy is what makes up everything. Yeah. Everything is made of energy, whether it's a table, a human being, the sky, like whatever it is, everything is made up of energy. And everything is made up of energy, whether they are in the physical world or not. So even when we pass, it's still energy. It
I've
just,
heard
it,
that. We just had a guest on, and she was talking about hertz and our electromagnet. I think she was talking about electromagnetic force
yeah,
and how to be able, like, to raise your hertz or your vibration to be able to talk to people
yeah,
from that.
that's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do. I talk to the
Okay.
dead. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a large part of what I do. I talk to the dead, and it's some of possibly my favorite thing to do. Possibly my absolute favorite thing to do. But that's what it is, right? So it's just all of those things that we utilize. So the Akashic records and past lives and everything, they are a way for us to be able to speak the language of energy in different contexts. Okay, so it's speaking the language of energy in different contexts. And so when we talk about the Akashic records are, so the way that we explain it to in the physical is, imagine that you have an archive of everything that ever existed in the universe. That's what the Akashic records are. Okay.
Wow.
And everything about us and everything about in there, past lives, soul contracts, all these things are contained in our records. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to walk into an archive. You might feel like you're walking into an archive because that's the metaphor that you're using to access that information, but all you're doing is reading energy. Does that make sense? So the Akashic Records is, I see all of these things, not only the Akashic Records, but many other things, as techniques that we use to contextualize and read energy in different ways, right? So we go to the Akashic Records when we want to find out a little bit more about the history of our soul, a little bit more about past lives, which are actually not even past lives, but we'll get that in a moment. When we want to know about the soul contracts, when we want to know about, our purpose, energetically, we can see all these things at an energy level. Everything is accessible. All we have to do is literally learn to speak the language of energy. That's it. And so the Akashic records are this space, because in the physical world we need to contextualize it with space. So it's this space that we access and to gather this information, and anything to do with our soul's history, with our past lives, with our soul contract, with the relationship, with our karmic bonds, all of it is contained in what we call the Akashic records. But the way I see it, it is a technique to read energy in a certain context, right? And so when it comes to past lives, that's another technique to read energy in a certain context. When we talk about soul contracts, that's another technique to read energy in a certain context. So soul contracts doesn't mean that before you incarnated in this body as yourself, you went to the clerk and you were like, this is what I'm signing now. And you took out your pen and signed your contract. That's not what a soul contract is. A soul contract is a belief, very often, is a vow. It's an internal energetic vow. It's something that you believe internally that influences your life. That's why we can change our contracts all the time, because we can change. Energy changes. Energy is in constant evolution all the time, perpetually. So we can change. And past lives are not really in the past because time doesn't actually really exist. So, the way that I see past lives, I was wondering if I had a picture, but I don't, because I don't think I can share my screen, but it's fine. So the way that I see us is that our soul is this bundle of energy, right? Imagine like your soul as this bundle of energy that is in constant like motion, right? And it is perpetual. Your soul was never born, never dies. Your
Okay.
your soul always is, and it has always been. Yeah. So your
That's
soul,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, we don't die. We don't die. Death is
That's
a,
me that.
yeah, we don't die. Death is a transition of the human body, but you never die, right? Okay, so soul is this like bundle of energy that is perpetual, always existing, and it's there, constantly like evolving, constantly expanding, contracting, expanding, like doing its energetic thing. The soul can express itself in many different ways. So the way I see this is there's a multiverse. There's different dimensions, different realms, different everything, right? And our soul is beyond all of these, right? So imagine our soul being something that floats into space here, right? And then there's all around us, there's like different dimensions, different realms, different levels of things and everything, right? From your soul, there's this little things of energy that come out of it. Imagine like
Okay.
synapses in the brain. You know the neural pathways in the brain?
Yes.
Imagine that. Okay, right? So there's a bundle and then there's like a neural pathway. So it's a little bit like that, the way I see it. So there's a little thing that comes out of your soul, and it's one expression of it. And then there's another one this way, and then there's another one that way, and there's another one that way, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of things that come out from our soul. And those are the different expressions, which energetically speaking we called past lives, but they're actually parallel because they're happening all at once. And so in some of your lives, you're you today. In some of your, you're you like as you look now. In some other lives, you might be, um, I don't know, living in ancient Greece, doing whatever. In some other lives, you may be an alien. In some other lives, you may be something else. It's just a different physical expression of something that is energetic. That's how,
Okay.
yeah. So everything is all at once, all the time. It's
That's a
just,
lot to grasp. That
yeah,
is a
it's
lot to grasp.
the grasp.
Did
It is.
we cover how we explore that?
So yes, so you can explore that. I mean, you want to do it with somebody who is trained to do it. You can train
Okay.
yourself for sure. You can train yourself for sure. So there are different ways. So if you're interested in developing your own psychic abilities, then these are some of the things that you will learn to do. So looking into past lives, looking into the Akashic records, learning how to do energy healing, all these sort of things. Learning how to read somebody's aura and energy field and all that sort of stuff, right? If you're not interested in developing this for yourself, you can go to somebody that does Akashic record readings, like myself. You can go to someone that does regressions, through hypnosis, through past lives regressions. That's
Oh,
another way that you can experience it. You can go, and I mean there's so many different modalities nowadays to do it, but you can either go to a practitioner that helps you explore it, so you'll be under certain like hypnosis or meditations and you go through it, or you can go to someone like me who does both. So I can either help you go through it if you feel comfortable with it, or I can access your energy and read it for you.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's super interesting. So the thing is, okay, so about all these lives that we have, the fascinating thing is that we're all one soul, right? They're all different expressions of one soul. And so sometimes you might be in this life and you have like a random anxiety that you're like, why the can I not
Yes.
overcome, right? Why
Yes.
the heck can I not overcome this? I can't pinpoint where it comes from. I have not inherited it. I do not know what's going on with this. Why is it there? I'm telling you that 99.9% of the time, this is a past life, or it comes from a different life. It's not from you. It's what I call this is that another life is bleeding into this one, right? And you need to separate it. You need to separate it. You need to separate yourself from that. And sometimes the separation is just energetic. So you just need to do like a cord cutting. You need to understand what you need to learn about what this thing is. And sometimes maybe there's a little bit more work, maybe a little bit of journaling, a little bit of nervous system regulation with regards to, but you can resolve all of these things. You can resolve all of these things. And past lives are an absolutely fascinating thing to explore, especially when you understand that you're all of them at once and they're not in the past. So when you grasp that, when you're like, this is a lot to grasp, yes. When you grasp that, when you grasp that you're actually what you're living now as yourself is just one expression of your soul, then you can intentionally connect to all of them.
It sounds very handy and like that it would help you in
Yeah.
so many aspects of your life.
Absolutely, it does. It absolutely does. Because, like, for example, let's say you're curious about developing your psychic abilities, right? With all of the thousands and thousands of different expressions that your soul has, I guarantee you that there's a life, if not hundreds of them, where you're already super psychic. It's already happening, right? So in that case, you can do a regression or you can do a past life reading and say, I want to develop this part of my life and I want to understand where is it that I'm doing it right and what I can learn from there that I can transport in this life. What are the skills that I can transfer? What can I learn right now and transfer it here? But also, what are some lives in which I'm having challenges with this? And what is happening in these lives that is making me have the challenge? And what can I do to overcome it and not have those challenges in this life as I pursue this right now? And it all comes together. It is the most beautiful thing. It's so
It sounds
useful.
like it.
It is. And then what you can do on top of that, which is what I do often, what you can do on top of them, then you go and have a look in your natal chart. And you're like, okay, so which part of my natal chart are pointing to developing psychic abilities in this life expression that I'm having right now? And so you would go and have a look, for example, if you have any planets in the 12th house, and have a look if you have planets in the 12th house, what planets are they? Because these are going to determine the way that you are going to connect with your psychic abilities. You know, what is your Mercury sign? Is it a practical Mercury sign, or is it a Mercury sign that is very like up here, so very connected to, you know, the others, like beyond the veil and stuff? And all those things help shape up the experience, and they really help you navigate this life 100%.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to cover?
I know that, you know what, there's always one thing I want to say when everyone asks me, you know, is there anything that you want, you know, everyone to know? I do. If there's one thing that I would want every single person on the planet to know, is that what we call God or source or the universe, like whatever it is that you resonate with, please know that it's not outside of you. It is
What is
not.
that? What does that mean?
So you know how we say that, like, oh God, I'm gonna speak to God, and we see God
Yeah.
as this like external entity, right? Or we see, oh, I hope the universe helps me with this, and we see like ourselves and then the universe as this like other energy outside. Okay,
Okay.
it is not. All of it is inside of us because we're all made of the same thing. So what if, instead of giving the power to that external thing, which is going to take it away from you because you're like, oh, God didn't want me to have this thing, or the universe didn't want me to have this thing? No, it is all inside of you. You are made in a way that you can absolutely have everything that your soul desires. Otherwise, you wouldn't be born. It just wouldn't have happened.
That's
It
very
is
powerful. That's
it,
very
it,
powerful.
it is also so random to be born. Like, it's not easy. Can we just like the stuff that needs to happen for us to just materialize in here and grow? It's insane. Okay, like the stuff at a biological level, like the stuff that needs to happen. First of all, the stuff that needs to happen for generally a human being to be born, but for that human being to be specifically you, that's a whole like other layer, right? And so energy doesn't do that at random. Energy doesn't do that at random. If you come out in this world with this expression of yourself, is because you're put in here to go through a certain journey and be connected with your soul. And the more you are connected with your soul, the happier you will be because you follow why you're here, you know? And so you're just there is no way that you're put in here to suffer. If anything is making you feel like you're suffering, it's because you're putting the attention outside of yourself. That's
Okay.
it. You're putting the attention to, or you're giving, sorry, not necessarily putting the attention, but you're giving power to things that are unrelated to you. Or you're perceiving something's powerful outside of yourself. Like, for example, a lot of people feel like, I was raised Catholic, for example. Okay.
Okay.
And I didn't think that I could do certain things because God didn't want me to.
Amen. I was raised like
Right?
that too, and it's very discouraging.
It
It's
is.
very discouraging.
Yes. So, but God, the word God, is simply a word to describe energy, right? It's simply a word that is used to describe energy, and it's interchangeable with the word source, it's interchangeable with the word universe, it's interchangeable with all the other words that we have to say that are equivalent to the word God. Okay? It's like interchangeable to all these things. And so there when I say that everything is energy, there isn't one energy that is you and one energy that is God. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like it is not a separate thing. In the same way that I was telling you that you have your bundle of soul, and then you have all these expressions of different lives that you're having, but they're you. It's the same. Behind here, there's source, or what we call God, and all of our souls are just all expressions of that. It's just not. It isn't something that's separate, and it's throwing judgment on you. That the whole judgment, like the whole thing that it's external to you and you have to get permission, and if you're not good, God's not gonna love you. Like that's control. That's human made. That's not God made, okay? That's very human made. And it doesn't really make sense that it works like that. But because we have been conditioned with it for thousands of years, of course we think that that's what it is. But it's all conditioning, it's all conditioning. So yeah, so if there is anything that I want anyone to know is that actually God is you, nobody else. It's whatever we call God, the universe, and source, and everything. Please know that you're it, that it's not outside of yourself, that you don't need anybody's permission. It's all about you and your soul. And if your soul desires something, it means that you can have it. Otherwise, you wouldn't. You wouldn't even be born otherwise, you know?
This was all very beautiful, and it brought my spirit up. It's
Oh,
very just, it did. It really did. I want to thank you so much for being here and being a
good.
guest, sharing this space with me and my audience. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
much.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Take care.
Take care. Bye.